If it isn't obvious enough, UltraKill has become my newest obsession within the last month or so. At the time of writing this, I only have 75 hours, but in that time I've achieved full P ranks for every level in Act 1 and 2 on Standard and Violent, although my friends have outsped me on most of those levels. My highest round in the Cybergrind on Violent is 30, Kirby, fuck you, and I'm the only person to P rank P2, although not quite on Violent. All this is to say that I've heard my fair share of the UltraKill soundtrack. I recognize that when most people think of UltraKill's music, they might think of... or maybe... perhaps you're cultured and you think of... Or you have some kind of masochism problem and you think of... Or... But I don't plan on excluding much of the game's soundtrack from this list because I think all of them have something good to be said about them, and the very large majority of those have at least some roundabout way of having their nuances explained in a way that makes even less sense. This also gives me an excuse to play the game again after not playing the game for like 2 weeks because I tried playing through all of UltraKill in crash mode and I was brought to my fucking knees by 3-1. UltraKill's music is a fucking delight to listen to. Well, except for... And I think I've cracked another part of the code as to why. I'm not going to be doing what Marco Meatball does, although I will make at least a few references because, frankly, I know nothing about classical music. I'm not a classically trained, well, anything. And he can detect some kind of fourth dimensionality in music that, while I agree with, I wouldn't be able to come to terms with how he figured it out, much less how he actually goes about explaining it. Instead, I'm going to be coming at this from the angle of a person who quite enjoys music, which doesn't really narrow it down very much, someone who produces music, which definitely narrows it down at least a little bit more, and someone who has played through just enough UltraKill to go mad over the levels as well as the music associated with them. Today, you're going to come along with me as I come to the revelation that UltraKill's music is kind of bitchin'. This might just be the most delightful music to listen to the entire game. It's essentially just elevator music, but it gives you something nice to listen to while you fiddle with all of your settings. Adjust your audio, because every game always starts at max volume. Adjust your frame rate, because the frame rate is always set to max. Adjust your FOV, because you're not my good friend Historic, who plays at fucking 160. Sorry, got a little carried away, but you get the point. This is literally just like eerie-ass sounds as you walk through these twisting, tight caverns. It almost makes you wonder if there's something at the end of the tunnel that you don't want to see. Until you pick up a fucking gun, and the game is on, the filth spawn, and you just know that this shit's gonna be awesome. This level introduces the swords machine. Maintains almost the exact same track, but they speed it up to hell and back. Way faster. Way more break core. And it seems like it's supposed to line up with the increase in speed that said swords machine is able to vanquish these husks with his... I think this is a sword, but it also like sounds like a chainsaw. This level doesn't have anything particularly special about it because it maintains the same track as 0-1, but maybe this time now you can show swords machine that he is in fact stoppable. Ah yes, the Cerberus. You walk into the arena, and it pulls the epic bravado intro, transitions into almost boom bap drums, but if they were heavily processed. It sounds kind of hellish, which is likely to reflect the fact that you are about to descend into the first layer of hell, and with it being much slower, it's also probably meant to mimic the fight with these nearly 10-foot creatures. I mean, Christ, these people would absolutely sweep your favorite basketball teams. Never have I been so terrified by a fucking stick figure. Really, the only thing to note in this level is that there is actually no music. Unless you spawn in enemies, in which case Into the Fire, the Music Box edition plays. But you would never hear that in the regular game because no enemies naturally spawn in this level, unless you count something wicked as an enemy, which I do. This song is just so beautiful, but in kind of a disconcerting way, in a way that sounds like you're walking in a place that you shouldn't be. It's not like you'd be punished, but it just feels weird and uncomfortable. This isn't a music thing, but there are literal speakers in the corners of the room to play fake bird sounds because, as we all know, birds aren't real. Now you realize that this whole place is, well, an illusion. We don't know what exists outside of these walls, but what we do know is that we probably should not feel at peace here. Once again, we have the beautiful music of 1,000 Greetings. Although I'm not totally sure why it's so serene while we're just kind of styling on these fucking things. It all comes to a halt real quick when you walk into this room full of burning corpses, which really isn't any worse than the shit we've been doing to these husks, but the music stopped, indicating at least some kind of importance, even though these are just scrapped models that will never see the light of day. And you walk outside and... This isn't meant to just reflect chaos. This is meant to reflect the literal tearing down of an entire layer of hell. That's literally what the street sweepers are doing. They're fucking burning everything down. On top of that, given the beeps and the weird mechanical noises, you could have me convinced that these are some kind of screams of other machines, blood or otherwise. This is also the most accurate way that I've seen this level described to me. Before we move on to 1-3, I saw something on the internet and I kind of want y'all to check this out with me. Ooh, what's down here? Whoa. Okay, we're in. Where the heck? Okay. Crack in the wall. Where the hell am I? I don't like what could be lurking in the shadows there. Let's see, make sure there's nothing behind me. What? What? Really? Okay. What was the point of that? And I just like, I guess off I go. What? Kill it! I'm gonna kill it with a cannonball. Okay, he killed himself, you fucking idiot. That's... The bit's done. The bit's done. That guy's just fucking stupid. Why did he kill himself? Not only is this a reference to Castlevania, but the level's name, Halls of Sacred Remains, is also a reference to Castlevania Lament of Innocence. The whole thing kind of just comes together into one nice package that is way bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside. The music sounds like a classic 8 or 16-bit castle-conquering soundtrack, and then Hakita, being the crazy bastard he is, mixed it in with breakcore drums and fucking electric guitar. I don't know who hired him, but they need a raise. Editor's note, Tundra and Agony, the secret bosses of this level, are also a reference to Devil May Cry. Shout out. The good news is that I won't get copyrighted for using these songs because the motherfucker died in 1918, but this might be one of the harshest tone shifts from any one level to another level in the same layer. You go from sieging a castle with a huge abomination to nighttime, serenity, still invoking the feeling that maybe you shouldn't be here. You're trespassing on the grounds of Hank and Gabriel and... Is that V2? Okay, this might be the most dramatic tone shift in the entire game. This song sounds like long-lost rivals incarnate, with V2 really being your first skill check, and probably one of the harshest. No, hold on, wait, that was way too easy. Run it back. I'm really glad they nailed the intensity of this music. It doesn't really sound like it's a life or death situation, even though it quite literally is, but it's almost like a surprise encounter feeling, like you weren't expecting V2 to be down here, but, you know, if you're good at the game, you can just kill him in 20 seconds.
And the Valorant manager.
I think we're past the point where anti-cheat is just literally malware.
And it's like, what the fuck? Why would you make it, like...
parentheses, can't run games with kernel-level anti-cheats.
Like, Riot, I get that you can't get anyone to play your games unless you actively hold them hostage, but this is too far, man.
20.9, that's pretty good.
If you've done everything right, and by that I mean losing your money by tossing a coin in this well and 1-1, you can play the next secret level, which is... Flow? That old game. From like 2012? Whatever. Hey, they nailed the music once again. It's very calming, very peaceful. A wee bit confusing because, again, I don't really know what the thought process was for UltraKill, but it really allows me to focus on doing these puzzles, which I really need because holy shit, why can I not solve this puzzle? It's also very heavenly sounding, which I guess makes sense given that this is a game about heaven and hell, but it also reminds me an awful lot of, Oh, Jesus Christ, we're really high up in the air, aren't we? That probably explains why the air is so cold up here. But hey, we finally get the freeing feeling of actually being outside. It's just really desolate out here. Synthwave, 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 synthwave! Or at least synthwave-inspired tracks. On top of the commonly used joke of the bisexual lighting being in the Lust layer, I'd also like to assume that the people in the Lust layer were finally given good music to listen to that wasn't just... This is the level where I finally realized just how good Hikita has actually made drum samples sound. Even though a couple of these are definitely slowed down to tempos slower than what they were intended for, I quite appreciate the change of pace here. I don't really have a justification for this, but I'm gonna need you to follow me here. Celadon City. I kind of look at the city design and I think of it as being like a Pokemon city, but if they turned it 3D and also put you in first person. And before the drums come in, I get weird Earthbound vibes from it. I'm sure that's probably not a bad thing because Earthbound is, you know, it's a good series, but I've literally never played those games, so I can't justify my explanation here. This level also helped me realize just how much cross-referencing was done in UltraKill's soundtrack. And I'm not talking about 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3 using the same music. I mean, I'm talking about this. Is it just me, or does this first part sound like Undertale music? Am I gonna get shot if I say that? Regardless, this is the point where I gave up solely relying on the name of the level or even the song to give me a point to anchor to, because a lot of these are references to other things in media, and the reality is that I'm simply not old enough to get any of them. If there's one thing I can say that made me panic with this song, it's how much it's moving around. It's like the more musically inclined version of... I can also add to that the other panic I felt when stumbling upon the Mind Flayer was like, what? Why do they have so much health? And then the other part of me was like, what? Why do they have projectiles? And then, but she's hot? Is she hot? And then it was, did she just kick me? I'm dead. You know, that was fun. Once again, this music is very nice, if not slightly unnerving, because nothing can truly be beautiful in a game about hell and the downfall of humanity. I will admit that the music doesn't really fit this rinky-dink-ass train station. I mean, I've seen better train stations in the aftermath of an Avengers battle, but that's whatever. You find a skull, you get moving on a Mario Party minigame train car, and then it creeps up on you. The dread of not knowing what's hiding in the darkness, until the biggest hand you have ever seen comes out of the dark, trying to reach for you like I reach for my power brick when my phone's about to die and the brick is hiding behind my bed. But okay, you kill the hand, you grab another skull, you drop it in on its pedestal, and... God? Is that you? Oh, okay, never mind. Kill it with spare change. What? What?
What the fuck?
You are gonna let me back into the map! No!
And you are gonna fucking like it.
Let me in!
What the fuck?
What was that? I feel so cheated! In the presence of a king. Pfft, this motherfucker's one sorry-ass king if he died by the money I stole from the donation cup at 7-Eleven.
Leia. Ooh, listen to that music.
You're going back to 2S. I think the music for this level is actually super genius. The best way that I can describe it is it's almost like if someone was making a low-quality browser porn game, but then they hired someone who had been making music for 10 years, had several platinum records, and in general was way overqualified for the job they were doing. It's really, I mean, it just sounds nice and cutesy, and I need something to take the edge off from the neck-breaking likes of... That is, until it descends into choir, and I'm realizing just how uncomfortable choir makes me by itself. But it also kind of sounds a lot like this song. Also, I need to add that I'm bitter about the porn game comment because all of my friends tell me that I make music that sounds like background music in a game, and I get weirdly offended by it. This level contains probably the closest to a horror level soundtrack that the game has. I would say 0S, but again, there is actually no music. I suppose it is pretty accurate given that you are, what, in the guts of King Minos' corpse? I don't really know. The music sounds like it wants you to fear for your safety and...
Turn back now.
You know, V1 wasn't really meant to venture inside of the corpse of a god, but he just finds it so fun. Now the music's picked up, and now that you're here, what business do you have turning back? Is your mission to kill God and all of his subjects? Is your mission to rearrange King Minos' guts as fast as possible? Can I cut that out? It doesn't really matter. Back when this game only had Act 1, this was basically the final stretch before your epic duel with...
The righteous hand of the Father.
And you should feel accomplished after killing that final bitch-ass Mind Flayer.
Machine, turn back now. The layers of this palace are...
Who decided that an organ needed to be played while I am inside another person? God damn it. I don't care how unfitting the music is for this specific setting. The context behind the name, Gabriel's relation to the player, his relation to God, it all comes together to be incredibly beautiful in a weirdly ominous and scary way. But you already know the Gabriel speech, so let's just skip to the fight, shall we? On one hand, I love the memes associated with this song. I especially love some of the shitposts that have come from Gianni himself.
Machine, you dare hit the gritty on my holy grounds? Do one more fucking Zoomer dance, and you'll be nothing but charred paint! You fucking... You come into my DM, ask for my time, tell me to come into your little call and amuse your viewers as if I'm some tool to be made use of. Voice actors are booked for an hourly rate, Travis, and mine is $200. And you asked for a rush order today, so that will double the rate. It'll be $400 for this little sadomasochism session. I hope you're prepared to pay the fucking piper. Oh, and by the way, you need to rank up your fucking style points, Travis. Try switching weapons from time to time. It's disgusting the way you play.
Do you take Arby's gift cards?
Fucking die. Machine, I'm smarter than you because I graduated Sunday school. Bitch. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? Just quit. Literally just don't even do it. I would just not do that. I don't work 1 hour, no less 18. Dumbass. Walk out. Shit yourself and walk out. They can't stop you.
On the other hand, I cannot give enough credit to Hikita for dishing this song out to us lowly people, because the choir, the electric guitar, the double bass drum, all of that in combination with the Gabriel one-liners that contain more hatred and power than any other one-liners I have ever seen in a boss fight. You get him down past his first health bar, and he shouts, "Enough!" Almost like he's not holding back anymore, and he's gonna kick your skull in. This track is the embodiment of, yeah, you killed all those other dudes, but I'm built different. He flaunts in your face. Even the dude on the guitar is almost taunting you because of how good he's fucking shredding. Gabriel taunts you. He treats you like a piece of scrap.
What?
At least that is, until you mercilessly destroy him and he pisses off to another layer. And of course,
May your woes be many and your days few.
and after all that, the music is not over. There's this haunting melody that's playing during Gabriel's conversations with the rest of the council, his internal monologue. He'll be back. I'm sure of it. This song is actually two references. One, to Doom Eternal, and two, it might be a reference to Into Sandy City, a song also written for Doom 2. I look at this song, and I hear it as a fresh start into Act 2. Act 1 ended so somber for Gabriel, but remember, he'll be back, and UltraKill throws you into straight, coarse, rough, and gets everywhere sand, with an awesome opening track to boot. Obviously, if you just listen to the song, you can tell that they use much more Egyptian influence, with many more string instruments, and then the team just throws in more electric guitar because fuck it. That's kind of one of my favorite things about this soundtrack entirely, is that they'll just write an A and B section, and the B section will just be some dude just killing it on the guitar. I'm not even a huge metalhead, but oh my god, they do good work. This sounds like the game's way of prepping you to enter inside of that big-ass pyramid to your left. They jump scare you with a handful of filth spawning in, and then you remember that the filth are idiots and will just run into the burning hot sand, or maybe gold. I think that's actually been confirmed. This level introduced me to the concept of P-ranking this level or doing any kind of challenge run is hard, but it is so much more bearable because this track is fucking awesome. And, listen here, it uses motifs that will be used later. I'm immediately starting this section off with a non-music related thing, but one of the things that I love about New Blood and what they've done with UltraKill thus far is that they'll take one of the layers, they'll find a motif that they think fits with the layer, they'll stick to that very vague concept, like in this case Egyptian themes to signify and characterize greed, but they won't stick to that way they frame the concept. This level is excellent in proving that point, both in terms of the level design and the music. You go from the bright yellows and the sun is beating down on you and the floor burns, and then you end up in this really dark pyramid, or maybe underground catacombs, or something.
This way. No, no, no!
Big explosion.
I am not dealing with something wicked.
And then something wicked comes back.
No.
Have you not beaten... Wait, what?
I heard
Why
it.
would you need to?
I heard it.
What do you...
Motherfucker,
What do you mean you heard it?
I heard it. I heard something wicked.
In 4-3?
Yes!
That's fucked up. That's awesome. I love that.
No, it is not!
I guess that would be the level that would make the most sense to have that Easter egg in it, though, and I'm kind of down. Oh, okay, never mind. He's gone.
Just kidding.
The music transitions into this mildly suspenseful track, which helps aid in the fact that you can't really see that much, but it's also kind of angelic, with notions of Gabriel being around the inside of this structure. He's portrayed with the word traitor written over top his mural. The music gives off this vibe of exploring crypts that you probably shouldn't be exploring, but V1 is just built different after all, so... Oh, you thought I would have forgotten about the bullet hell that is the second half of 4-3, huh? The closest equivalent that I can make for this level is it has a lot of organ in it, which to me kind of sounds like Gabriel is summoning as many enemies as possible in one room as a means of trying to stop V1, because with any effort, even metal will bleed. Oh, is that the slow increase in the bass guitar that I hear? Does that mean what I think it means? Ah, yes. V2 is back. The bones of V2's theme are all back, but with some very obvious and needed switch-ups from his original theme to hint that we're now in the UltraKill equivalent of Egypt. As if, you know, you couldn't tell by the pyramid. While the first Duel theme sounded like the drop was supposed to signify the player's surprise upon seeing a robot that looks like them, moves like them, and probably kills like them, the reimagining of the theme, to me, sounds like now that both of you are super kitted out, even to the point of V2 getting a new arm that he never uses, the real battle has begun. And V2 can actually kick your ass this time. Unless you're this guy in my chat telling me how they got a 110-4-4 fight. You have a 110-4-4. Way to tell me you're better than me. Just kidding. That was I operate under the presumption that anybody who has played UltraKill before tuning into a stream is already better than me. To which I rewrote the laws of reality to give myself a 115-4-4 fight. That's what I was looking for. Oh, he seems to be a little bit stuck. Okay, so he always goes in from the left of the front door. Good to know. Be a whiny bitch all you want, V1 or V2. Well, I do. Again, you're just the best. That's all I can really come to assume from that. Okay, so I don't have a 110-4-4, but I have a 115. It's kind of like they took the original theme, which was already ramped up to 11, they amped that up to a 12, and then they added in some more beautiful elements. Simple formula. 1-4's theme, it's badass, it's epic, and it reflects the energy of the biggest skill check in the entire game. 4-4's theme maintains all those aspects, but it expands on the weirdly beautiful motifs. And I know it's not really that deep since it's just the battle of :3 versus greater than open parentheses. But I think I'm allowed to say this because you are still playing a robot venturing into hell for some kind of purpose outside of purely instinctive, and I think it's safe to assume that V2 is at least kind of the same. The track all comes together when you're sliding down the side of the massive pyramid that you've been seeing the entire layer, which is probably the easiest part of the boss fight if I'm honest, and it ends with that powerful chord followed by V2 fucking dying. I love New Blood's concept of just making as many references as possible. I mean, you have the soap from one of their older games, Dusk. You have an obscene amount of YouTubers being referenced in 4.3. You have the cancerous rodent. What? What? Really? What? And of course, most infamously of all, you have all these stupid-ass references to other video games that I wouldn't really know where their inspiration came from, but boy howdy do I love me some dating sim, and boy howdy do I hate getting jump scared. I don't really have a ton to say about this level, other than it kind of just sounds like music that would play during a Crash Bandicoot Sand level. Well, I guess that and also this. Oh god, I don't really know how we ended up here from an area that was so dry and so hot that merely standing on the gold would cause bodily harm to a robot. Here, it's dark, it's dank, and it smells like flesh. Actually, I don't know if I can say that. Can V1 smell? Do you think he'd fall for the pie in the window trick? Deep Blue, which is probably not a reference to the song by The Midnight of the same name, but god, is that a good song. I can really only equate this opening sequence to two things. One, some kind of R&B track. Like, I don't know, I could kind of imagine some like halftime drums over this track. But two, this sounds like the beginning of a game that would take place entirely in an underwater civilization, and the main character is experiencing the wonder of finally understanding what a society that lives strictly underwater would look like. It's beautiful, and it's quiet, it's very lonely. UltraKill, of course, takes a different route for this because no functioning civilization could live down here, although I guess no civilization could truly live in any layer of hell, but that's besides the point. The track is simple. It's low-pass filters on the synths, and its instruments. It's subdued, like in the way that all underwater level music probably should be while you're under the water. This is actually the only track that sounded unfamiliar to me at first because I kind of forgot about the drums. I guess the sounds of exploding husks and the Mind Flayer being a pain in my ass distracted me from the fast-paced drums that the track uses, but I also know that for the majority of the level, you're underwater and you can't really hear the drums because they're muffled out by the power of the water. And if you don't believe me, you can still hear the thumps of the kicks and the snare if you listen closely enough. "5.1 didn't make me like water levels, but they did make me like their water levels. And I think this clip from Silly Op perfectly explains why.
This level fucking blows ass. You know, even though it's a water level, it sucks mega ass. It's just clustered, there's a lot of shit that's going on, and there you go. You check out, you got the P rank, and then the challenge is, don't touch any water. What on God's green fuck?
Bro, who put a saxophone in on this? Maybe it's just because of the clip art that Hikita uses in the OST video? But this song also has themes in it that to me kind of sound like V1 is struggling to keep his head above the water. Not like he would need to, but I guess that is a very fitting concept considering what the entire Wrath layer is about. Let me give you a bit of a glimpse into my life. I come up with a lot of my ideas and I write the majority of my scripts at work because frankly, my job is easy enough that I can afford to write pages and pages of notes on music in a fucking funny man's doom. But that also means that in cases like this, I have to watch videos of people playing certain levels to come to the conclusions that I come to. And watching the entirety of 5.2 actually made me think that the guy was playing without music. I think in general, I tend to just get very frustrated with the first quarter of 5.2 that my brain doesn't realize there isn't any music playing. You know, I fall into the water about 9 times before I make it into the cabin. I clear out the cabin of any and all demon spawn. I grab the blue skull, I grab the red skull, the ferryman rings his bell, spawning in Hellzone Titanic, and then the music kicks in, which sounds an awful lot like a man sitting in a cabin in the middle of a rainstorm, writing with a quill pen about how he will never be able to escape the sins of his past or some dumb shit. Yeah, buddy, quit being so sorry for yourself. Oh no. You know, I think I deserve this for destroying someone else's property. As much as I don't play 5.2, I really adore this boss fight music. It might be the fastest track in the entire game, and is incredibly chaotic, possibly to reflect the slightly chaotic and quick movements of the ferryman, but it also sounds very desperate. Likely to reflect the countless number of souls who are fighting to escape the endless waves, but to no avail. I can fully respect the ferryman wanting to defend his ship, seeing as it's his job, and would likely be put down if he refused to do so, but once again, I can only describe the defense of a ship that is doomed to be sunk as very desperate. I can't really tell if the ferryman is defending the ship because of Gabriel's potential punishment, or if it's due to his own want to keep the ship afloat. But regardless, I think I need to crash this party down below, so I'm gonna need you to get out of my way. Let me retcon the ferryman's death really quickly. I was recently informed of another less depressing way to beat this level, but I should warn you, this was coming from a Battlefront 2 player, and so I have a feeling it's gonna involve my wall. Okay, yep, yeah, I knew it. Pay to win, haha, laugh it up, you unoriginal fuck! This track has the potential to be put in most UltraKill players' top 5s, and while I probably wouldn't put it up there myself, I think this track is phenomenal. Taking out any potential links it has with the theme of the layer, the level itself, or any of the other nonsense I've been spewing for the last 37 minutes, this track is almost a masterclass in orchestral composition, and this is very clearly not a fucking orchestra. You have chopped breakcore drums, you have the addition of acoustic drums, you have an electric guitar, a MIDI trumpet, and whatever synth is playing the lead, but the constant changes in energy, even if only for a brief moment, the what I believe are called union passages, which are essentially just a bunch of instruments playing the same notes, and in the case of the drums, a very similar rhythm. The high energy of the entire composition. All of this to reflect the fact that you're basically always fighting something. It all adds up to be a wonderful amalgamation that makes P ranking this level all the more enjoyable. And hey look, even this guy out here wants to listen in. This song sounds like a game over theme. I didn't die, the ship just sank. I guess the only thing stronger than the iceberg and the Titanic is the fusion of, I don't even know how many souls to form into, and I quote,
44 segments of a really long motherfucker.
If you listen to the bass notes, you can very obviously tell that they're using the same progression as the upbeat theme that was playing like 30 seconds ago. Also, somehow even more husks just kind of manifested in here as a result of the ship tipping over. I couldn't really tell you how they got here because none of the areas are new, so where did these people come from? Also, fuck this level's challenge. Leviathan, why did you have to tip the ship over? The challenge would have been way easier if you had just not gotten in the way. That's it, I'm taking it up with it myself. Okay, never mind. I'll just hang down here and pretend like nothing happened. The distorted sounds of the ferryman's bell. The realization that you're at the bottom of the river Styx, the home of as many souls as hell can carry. I don't really know why there's a limit, but whatever. It's almost ominous that I can't see any bodies down here. Better spawn in a few more for good measure. The bell will be ringing until the end of time, or until we run through enough bodies that no one will hear it ring any longer. You ascend out of the water to find maybe the largest creature ever to exist in hell. I would say the corpse of King Minos or King Sisyphus, but those aren't really creatures, and to call them ones would just be rude. And the most grandiose of themes play. This theme could replace many Dark Souls boss themes, and I don't think anyone would notice, which I think speaks to the scale and the power of the Leviathan. He was intended to be what would come at the end of the world, but the world already ended, so he kind of just hangs around in the Wrath layer. This theme would have you think that he would end V1's bloodlust right here and right now. He would be the end of the line. He would turn you into scrap and leave your remains at the bottom, never to be found again. But as it turns out, this boss is kind of a pushover, and much like water-type Pokemon, which the Leviathan probably is, he is hella weak to lightning, and a single magnet from the nail gun could ruin his chances of ever living up to the legacy of his dad. I'm glad that this boss music is epic, because it really sells the deal that the Leviathan is going to kick your skull in, that is if he had any feet, and it makes the boss fight very enjoyable, and at least very fun, even if you can take him down with a few funny pieces of metal. Now that it's been over 40 minutes, I think we should take a break. I'm gonna let every version of the Lakeside Songbook play so that we can have a small intermission before jumping into the heresy layer. And in the meantime, I'm gonna let you in on a theory of mine. All of the songs in the Lakeside Songbook are played on an acoustic guitar or on a banjo, and as controversial as this statement may be, all of these songs are country songs. Even the nighttime themes specifically, it sounds an awful lot like a song that one would play around the campfire at night with the homies. Although I guess no true country listener would use the term homies. And on top of that, who uses this term the most? That's right, those motherfuckers down in Kentucky. Anywho, enough of my nonsense. Continue enjoying the nice sounds of a humble robot just trying to do some fishing. At least until you find an eyeball and a frog? And a fish made out of metal, and the blahaj, or the blahai, which, I can't talk about this.
You cannot microwave metal.
Besides the obvious microwave joke, I think the literal one note of this song, if you can even call it that, sounds incredibly industrial, which I think fits in tandem with basically the entire level. I can't really figure out what the impetus behind Heresy being an industrial-ass layer was. All I know is that I love it. And one of the only things that I love more than that is... Am I allowed to give out awards on this show? Wait, this is my show, why am I asking that? I'm giving this level the best arena level in the entire game. The fact that canonically you're walking through probably one of the most dangerous areas in the entire game up to that point, the UltraKill version of the City of Dis, and knowing that Gabriel is in the same layer as you, dealing with multiple bosses that previously you only had to deal with at one at a time. 2 Maurices, 2 Virtues, 2 Cerberus, 2 Insurrectionists, at least if you do the secret encounter, and 2 Hideous Masses? Someone described this song as the breaking point where the game stops saying, "Welcome to hell, have fun, smiley face," to "Welcome to hell, we hope you suffer." While hell in all previous layers has mostly been represented by mere punishment and the removal of all things deemed pleasurable, Heresy is filled with just straight up torture. This is the most hell-looking hell I've ever seen, and the music exists in an attempt to make that very obvious. Once again, they kind of took the same concept as Glory of fighting an uphill battle almost to an unwinnable degree to ultimately take down the big baddie of hell, ramped it up to 10,000. Because, as expected, Glory was already ramped up to an 11. You're running through the most intense arena in the whole game, in the area most shrouded in uncertainty. And if V1 were to perish here, it would have been all for nothing. And then... this level contains the perfect mix of headbanging metal and then this riff that has literally just made people cry. Probably.
Machine, I know you're here. I can smell the insolent stench of your blood-stained hands. I await you down below. Come to me.
I hear three things here. I hear a congratulatory riff for making it this far. I hear a fair warning sign and a general good luck with what comes next. And I hear Castlevania. That last one isn't speculative or anything. I mean, you can literally hear the riff in the background if you listen closely.
Lust, all gone, with gluttony soon to follow. Your kind know nothing but hunger, purged all life from the upper layers, and yet they remain unsatiated. As to you, you've taken everything from me, machine, and now all that remains is perfect hatred.
I typically hate organs because I think they sound bad and they signify death. But UltraKill has given me a different appreciation for the sound. The powerful stabbing chords, the evil they exude, the speech from the man himself. At the end of the day, who is evil and who is not is all determined by the victor. But this soundtrack makes me feel like a bad person. The only thing offsetting how uneasy this track makes me feel, the feeling of divine punishment for being a robot with probably no free thinking, is getting to the end of this mini obstacle course, down the steps, through the doors, and finding Gabriel just kind of sitting there going hard on the organ. It was at this moment that I gained a newfound respect for the character. Not only is he determined and capable of finally breaking free from the brainwashing, not only is he the master of speeches and bravado, not only is his voice actor just one of the fucking funniest people that I have ever seen, but he's a classically trained pianist? Jesus Christ, Gabriel, save some ladies for the rest of us!
Machine, I will cut you down, break you apart, splay the gore of your profane form across the stars. I will grind you down until the very sparks cry for mercy. My hands shall relish ending you here and now!
This might be the only thing in the game that will still consistently give me goosebumps. I mean, fucking listen to him. The double bass drum is back, the guitars are back, Gabriel is back with a fucking vengeance, and the theme screams,
I'm going to UltraKill you!
Where divine intervention demanded that you behold the power of an angel, the death of God's will showed you that, frankly, Gabriel is not messing around anymore. He's got the organ out and everything. I can't tell if it's desperation, I can't tell if it's psychopathy. Maybe it's the exact opposite, and it's actually a moment of clarity for him. But ultimately, you will remember why he's the judge of hell. The music is beautiful, it's haunting, it gets stuck in my head many times throughout the day. The constant ascending of notes during the highest tension moments is the perfect vehicle for the final boss theme. it could end right here. Or it could not.
Twice, beaten by an object. Twice. I've only known the taste of victory, but this taste is this my blood? I've never known such relief. I need some time to think. We will meet again, machine. May your woes be many, and your days few.
Once again, we see the same issue fall on Gabriel. Only this time with the addition of the other archangels being, fucking stupid. Gabriel, after losing twice to this machine, has gained clarity that God isn't coming back, ultimately deciding to take the lives of every other council member and vowing to slay V1. This time, however, he has a new perspective. Rather than his heart being filled with hatred, it's filled with passion, his newfound love for the fight, his newfound joy upon stumbling upon a creature who could finally match his strength. And what I would call at least a mild case of psychopathy, with caring more about his fight with V1 rather than whatever atrocities V1 would commit upon getting to the bottom of hell. Again, UltraKill is not a horror game. But for all of the poor bastards who didn't pick up the torch at the beginning of this and had to walk down the whole staircase nearly blind, that's about as close as this game gets. Where Zero S provided you with certainty that you will get jump scared, the Spinal Staircase theme fills you with so much dread because you don't know if you're going to be greeted by a face that you'd rather not. You don't know when the loud noises will stop, and if they do stop, what comes next? You don't know. Many of the gracious commenters on the original video pointed out that this track also perfectly reflects the tragedy of King Minos crafting a beautiful kingdom, only to have it horribly twisted and disfigured, losing his life, being trapped in a horrible beast, and having to watch as his lifeless, parasite-infested corpse lay waste to all of his hard work. And then everything stops. It's still, it's quiet, and it's bone-chilling. Oh my god, oh Jesus, what the hell is that? The flesh prison? What is this thing holding? And why does it have to look like that? It's similar to the husk. Motherfucker, you look at these two things and you tell me that they are similar. Fun fact, actually, this is the track that made me want to make this entire video. Not any of the banger themes that everyone knows and loves, none of the breakcore nonsense, none of the atmospheric tracks, none of that. Chaos is the sole reason for this video existing. As much as I love UltraKill's soundtrack, I looked at this theme and I thought that it perfectly exemplified the feeling that players get after walking down the spine vine, and I guess the answer to my previous question. The flesh prison is a creature with no forward thinking, no backwards thinking. It strictly reacts in a predetermined way to a stimuli, and given the insane nature of UltraKill, that results in the flesh prison doing all kinds of crazy shit that makes any player who thought that they were the shit by P-ranking everything in Act 1 face the hardest reality check in the history of reality checks.
Free at last. Oh, Gabriel. Now dawns thy reckoning, and thy gore shall glisten before the temples of man. Creature of steel, my gratitude upon thee for my freedom. But the crimes thy kind have committed against humanity are not forgotten. And thy punishment is death.
Never has a fight with Hell's strongest racist felt like such a blood-pumping experience. Somehow the Judge of Hell is proven to make me feel less like I'm being divinely punished than some dude who's just see-through. It almost sounds like Minos Prime would be the one waiting at the end of time and space to punish me for the amount of sick trick shots that I hit on his subjects. And while he ends up killing me plenty of times in my previous runs of the fight, I feel like I probably deserve it. Minos is essentially the man designated to putting me in my place after Undertale genociding my way to his doors, and the theme really puts that notion over the edge. He's essentially just said, yeah, you killed everyone in the upper layers, but try fighting a fucking god, and then we'll talk. If you really want me to get technical about this, one of the most underrated parts of this track are the occasional one-bar switch-ups between the acoustic drums and the breakcore drums. Guys, it's doing the thing I said it was going to do earlier in the video. When this motif hits, it just screams out his desire to protect his kingdom and whatever he has left. He will throw every last move and trick he has, for the sake of what he has built up. Minos is definitively giving his all in this fight, because he can't allow you to go any further, and the ramping intensity of the track keeps it chugging forward, and faster, and more chaotic, and even faster, more energy, until... V1 tramples him. Showered in blood.
I have failed to bring you salvation.
Maybe a few scratches on him.
Cold, dark world.
Could Minos ever really have won? I'm gonna say not, because V1 probably has a task bot inside of him. Fucking cheater. Wow, this is such a beautiful old-timey record, paired with this super gloomy little town. You walk about in the blood rain, V1 rejuvenated, refreshed, much like any regular person walking through a mild, warm rainstorm. The record takes a slightly sinister downturn as the tape stops, once again, leaving you with a fair amount of unease. This time it's clear as day out, so surely you'd be able to see if anything tried to sneak up on you, right? Surely there's nothing suspicious in this suspicious-looking tunnel, right? Oh my god, I can't tell if this is a microwave or a fucking grinder. Can you interpret what's going on in here? Oh, okay, that was actually way faster than it normally is. Cue the music. AKA Blood Red Darkness in Italian, or maybe nothing if Keygen Church just made this shit up. The organs are back, signaling death, although maybe not for me, but for all of the poor bastards who fell to King Sisyphus. I mean, again, look at the blood rain. You exit the Weezer room to face the two virtues who make the Weezer room a real annoyance, but then you remember that virtues are very easy to defeat if you understand heavy damage combos or how to overpump, which apparently I like don't know how to, because I normally don't like fuck this up, but I don't know what happened here. This song made me love the organ, although I might not love it outside of the context of UltraKill, so maybe it didn't make me love the organ. It's hard to say. On one hand, this song makes you feel like you're about to face the full brunt of hell. It's horrifying, honestly. It's dreadful, and it's a feeling that you can't really earnestly experience as a human being. On the other hand, oh my god, does this song give you the adrenaline to rip and tear through everything that stands in your way. Sure, you may die a few times, or a lot of times, or 180 times. Well, one thing I can say is I'm glad you told me to do this now, because it's 5 o'clock, and if I was trying to P-rank that last mission and then also do this, that would have been rough. This level gives you the perfect playground to prove how much you've learned playing UltraKill. The most real comment that I've heard from the UltraKill community is the realization that this song is not playing it during a boss fight, but during what is effectively just a regular stage, is actually what makes it such a powerful track. The song is driving itself off a cliff with the doors locked and the seatbelt strapped in. It's like a boulder rolling down a hill, constantly gaining momentum. It's like it has its own perpetual motion machine, constantly pumping out more and more energy, until of course you're not in battle, and then it's just a super subtle backing track. Now is probably a great time to note that most, if not all, of UltraKill's music has both a calm and an in-battle version of the theme, which is how you can go from something as calm as what you were just listening to turn into... my favorite fucking part in the entire song. What kind of switch up is this? I know I probably should have expected this because UltraKill is littered with electric guitar switch ups, but I didn't think the battle version of this theme could get any more intense until they threw this in. As Marco described it, the song starts with a feeling of frustration, confusion, and general plaintiveness towards the world, and then it just gets spiked with ungodly rage, which, given the story of Sisyphus, is spot on. Never has a song made me feel more like it's two unrelenting forces clashing. The player putting in every ounce of effort they have just to so much as even clear the level, and whatever governing force putting in every ounce of effort they have to halt the player in their tracks. The track even starts to slow down for a second and you question what in the world they could possibly be pulling, and then they slam their foot on the gas again, continuing the trend of not letting you have a moment to breathe. And then they pull another fast one on you with another switch up. Just to end it off with a motif that sounds like the feeling of arriving at the final boss gate. The angels up in heaven are watching you. The innumerable amount of beasts in hell are watching you, all leading up to the moment that you step through those iron gates. Oh no, not this motherfucker again. He's back? Someone told the Flesh Prison to be there or be square, and this motherfucker did not show up. Look at what they did to him. Pandemonium is a more chaotic version of chaos. I can't really describe it, but it sounds even less musically inclined. And while I suppose the initial shock of seeing something in the shape of a Flesh Prison has dampened quite a bit, the chaos of the situation has not. The Flesh Prison will airstrike you in the holiest way possible, get little fuckers to shoot lasers at you, and summon a black hole to give you 99 instantaneous hard damage, but the Flesh Prison will airstrike you in a holier way, generally do all the same things, and with the addition of mortar strikes, which I would say is against the Geneva Convention, but one, it's not, and two, this is hell. Geneva does not exist. It also took me googling what kind of shape a panopticon is to realize that this isn't actually a shape, it's a concept. The basic idea is that all the cells in a prison are watched by a singular structure, and in UltraKill, the Flesh Panopticon serves to do the same thing, although the only thing he's watching is Sisyphus, and then we just come in and, fuck the whole thing up. Ah, yes, King Sisyphus, it's so nice to finally meet you.
Visitor. Indeed, I have slept long enough. The kingdom of heaven has long since forgotten my name, and I am eager to make them remember. However, the blood of Minos stains your hands, and I must admit, I'm curious about your skills, weapon, And so, before I tear down the cities and crush the armies of heaven, you shall do as an appetizer. Come forth, child of man, and die.
Oh no. The complete lack of care by Sisyphus is really reflected in this track. Not in the traditional sense, because I mean, Jesus Christ, listen to how much is going on right now, but in the sense that I'm not hearing any desperation in this track, which you would think would come out of this given that you have killed one of the top 3 most powerful beings that we know of so far. But no, he just wants to fight you for the fuck of it. If anything, I listen to this theme and I feel a sense of fear for my own safety because 1, look at how tall he is, 2, look at how thick he is, and 3, he's literally just Minos but faster and more golden. He's literally Super Saiyan Minos. He's about to pop through my monitor and strangle me. I know I said earlier that Tenebre kind of could reflect Sisyphus's feelings of rage towards the gods and the angels and whatnot, which seems to clash with the point I just made, to which I defer to his speech.
And I am eager to make them remember.
Surely he feels rage towards heaven and for what they've subjugated him to, but ultimately he has nothing to defend, for a reason you probably all know about. Also, listen to this. On a technical level, I'm hearing, I think, the fastest drum chop of any track in this game. Listen to the what almost sounds like glitchy notes in the drums and realize that this is Hikita speeding up a drum hit so fast that it basically loses all sense of rhythm and just kind of becomes a note. I also think I'm hearing snare drums playing in a similar rhythm to the double bass rhythm. The thing I love about this theme, and Minos' theme, is that both of these sound like you're supposed to be facing the boss at the end of the line that will take you down. I imagine that if this is a fighting game, either of their themes could play, a camera would rotate around the both of them as they run at each other, clashing swords. It's literally the battle of 2 unstoppable forces, and upon breaking each other's first health bars, you quickly realize just how much the other two have been holding back. The music continues to ramp up. The realization that these two have a moral imperative to stop you in your tracks adds to the intensity, but the subsequent realization that you have a completionist's imperative to kick these two in their translucent nuts keeps you going. You finally beat Sisyphus, and this motherfucker still finds a way to be cool even on his deathbed and subsequently after death. While King Minos apologizes for not being able to save everyone who took part in the Lust Renaissance, King Sisyphus knew he was going to lose all along, and he didn't really care.
Regret.
This is easily the highest energy track in the entire game, but I think for a completely different reason. The tempo, the drum patterns, the rhythm of each respective instrument, and the fact that there are so many switch-ups that you almost can't assume what will or will not happen every 2 to 4 bars. Mega Neko, the creator of this song, is constantly taking left turns, throwing curveballs, and keeping the listeners on their feet. It almost feels hard to breathe around this track because of how quickly things could switch up, and just when you get used to that switch up, they hit you with another switch up, and before you know it, the song's over, and you don't really know what the fuck you just listened to, but you do know that you want to listen to it again. Another song found in the Cybergrind and made possible by Health is a song that I don't think I can accurately say the song was made for the game, but every result besides 1 or 2 of them leads me back to some kind of UltraKill content, so I'm gonna say yes with a teaspoon of blood and of course a grain of salt. The lyrics in this song might even hint that they're in reference to UltraKill's lore, maybe hinting at the genuine curiosity of not knowing if you will be the one to die when this is all over, or if it's the guy who made himself your de facto worst enemy. I can't really describe what genre this song is. All I know is that it has more electric guitar in it, and it is a good one. UltraChurch is back with another banger, using nearly, if not all, of the same sounds used for Tenebre, which makes sense, but not needing to take lore into account when designing the track, it still seems like they did. Or at least had a very specific feeling that had to be struck with the song. If you want an objective opinion on what the feeling is supposed to be, might I suggest reaching out to UltraChurch themselves to find out? But if you want my opinion on what this sounds like, it kind of gives me the vibes of V1 being entrapped inside of some kind of religious building. Could be a church, could be a mosque, I don't know, I don't care. I don't even know if V1 has a religion. But he's trapped in this building, and he's fighting wave after wave of monster, and while it might be a perilous situation, you know, not knowing if he'll come out of it, it still has blood-pumping levels of energy. The hypothetical situation I'm describing would likely be similar, even though V1 is trapped for the time being. He's not trapped in there with them, they're trapped in there with him. He's got a potentially never-ending supply of blood and a potentially never-ending amount of time. I suppose that is technically what the Cybergrind is, but look at how open it is out there. Alright, on second thought, I think I'll stay inside. Thank you very much. Mark my words, I will touch on Act 3 when it comes out, as that will be able to give me more context to make my dumbass analysis of the music. I could talk about the world looks white and the world looks red, but frankly, I want to see how New Blood crafts the rest of the level, and whatever lore bits might come out of it. Because there is literally no way that they can fuck this up when they're this close to the finish line, and I want a full context to make a full comprehensive meal out of Act 3's soundtrack. Additionally, I want to wait for what P3 might look like so that I can make a much smaller list of themes that I noticed had a time signature change. The Ferryman and Sisyphus all have 3/4 breaks midway through their themes, and Minos is entirely in 3/4. While I don't know what they were going for when they did this, it's a welcome addition, much like every other song this game has to offer. So, after 13 pages, what did we learn? Well, in my opinion, UltraKill's music is insane. I now have 96 hours at the time of finishing this script, and 110 hours at the time of finishing this video. It took me an additional 21 hours, most of which was me strictly playing to listen in on the music and its appropriate context, and I can confidently say that Hakita never misses a beat. The music invokes so much, almost too much, to fully understand in one or even two full listens. Each stage theme is perfectly reflective of the layer of hell they take place in, perfectly reflective of the execution of each stage relative to their layer, and perfectly encapsulating the feeling that each stage should give you while you're keeping up with the lore of the game, while not alienating anyone who just wants to play the funny robot man pillages hell game. The lore enhances the music's impact tenfold, but it still remains very well structured, very well mixed, and just an overall incredible time to listen to. UltraKill's soundtrack continues to escalate as you play more through the game, likely to reflect the ramping intensity and tension of delving deeper into hell against a man who has more disdain for V1 than I think I've ever seen anyone have disdain for anyone else ever. Even with that last point being made, the game still knows when to take its breaks and when to give your ears a break, with some of the subtler notes coming in Layer 1, Layer 5, and when you absolutely style on Gabriel. The soundtrack encompasses dread, fear, and anxiety, but also excitement, inspiration, and upliftment. I don't even know if that last word is real. The game's soundtrack will have you feeling all emotions on the spectrum, from panic to joy, from happiness to sadness, and from relief to stress. This game is the most severe, bipolar, and ADHD-laden game I've ever played, and the soundtrack follows in its tracks each and every step of the way. Even with the boss themes getting all the praise and all the repeats on streaming platforms, I think that every song in this game deserves its flowers before the game passes. And after all of this, I think I only have one more controversial opinion. UltraKill has the best soundtrack in any video game. I have so many memories of games over my last 18-ish years of playing games, but none of them so powerful that they've made me find a playlist to listen to at any time of my waking day. None so well crafted that they make me want to help popularize UltraKill type beats. And none so good that they've led to me making this entire video. And with that, I think I close the books on this 14-page script. Guess that really isn't much of a book now, is it?
The video is over. Go away. Go on. Get out of here. What do you think, there's more video? Oh, what, because you can see it in the little seek bar? You just assume there's more content to extrapolate here? Well, there isn't. Tell you what. Go ahead if you really want more content so bad, you pig. Go ahead and subscribe then. That's the way to see more of it. Now goodbye. I'm off to suck Minos' cock.
Oink oink.
Oink!
Yes, I paid for this.